All right, let's dive into this. Today we're taking a close look at Borosil Ltd.
Borosil.
Yeah.
Those are
Where?
iconic glass containers.
Yeah.
Exactly, but they're not just for grandma's kitchen anymore.
Right.
Borosil's really become a major player in the Indian consumer market, and we're going to figure out why. We've got a few things to look at. We have their newest press release,
Okay.
a really detailed investor presentation, and even some interesting questions from analysts. This quarter's performance,
Yeah, how'd they do?
well, let's just say it's a little surprising. So are you ready to see if it's good news or bad news?
Yeah, let's dive in.
Okay.
I think what's really cool is how Borosil has used their history. They've been around for over 60 years.
Wow.
It's amazing. They started with just that borosilicate glassware,
Right.
and then they became like the biggest name in opalware in India. And now they make everything from, storage containers to servingware. They even have appliances now. Wow.
And it seems like they're really going for that mass premium market.
Okay, so they're not your typical glassware company anymore?
No.
But, how are they actually doing? So the press release says that revenue grew a lot. It was up 16.6% year on year
Wow.
and reached 273.9 crores. Operating EBITDA also increased by a pretty significant amount, too, 27.7%.
Healthy.
Yeah. So are we celebrating here? Is this like a...
Hold on.
Okay.
The investor presentation talks about something kind of important.
Yep.
The union budget changed how they calculate deferred tax credit.
Uh-huh.
And basically, because of some changes in the tax code, Borosil has to pay more in taxes this quarter.
So that explains why profit after tax went down 1.2%.
Yeah,
Okay, but that's not really because their business is doing worse. It's more of like a technical thing, right?
exactly. Their core business is actually more profitable than it's ever been.
Okay.
And that EBITDA growth we were talking about,
Mhm.
that means they're getting more profit for every rupee of sales.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's really interesting to me is where this growth is coming from.
Okay.
So glassware sales are up, yeah,
Okay.
but it's the non-glassware that's really doing well.
You mean like all that, really nice opalware that everyone seems to be buying?
Yes.
And what about those appliances, those sleek ones I keep seeing all over Instagram?
Yes, exactly. Those are really popular right now.
Yeah.
Non-glassware brought in 387 crores
Whoa.
in FY24 alone.
Okay.
It seems like Borosil is really changing as a company.
Okay, that's a huge change. What do you think is driving this change? Is it just like a trend that will fade away, or is there like a bigger reason why people are buying all this stuff?
Well, if you look at the big picture in India, there are a few things happening.
Okay.
More and more people are moving to cities.
Okay.
Families are getting smaller,
Right.
and people want convenience and a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah.
So they want products that look good but are also good for them. And Borosil seems to get this.
So it's like they've figured out what the modern Indian consumer wants.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's not just about following the trends, right?
Right.
They're doing specific things to help make this growth happen.
Oh, definitely. Like when they bought Lara back in 2016,
Uh-huh.
that was a total game changer. They didn't just buy a company, they completely transformed it.
Okay.
They changed how it operated, they made the branding better, and they turned it into a market leader.
Okay, so they saw potential in Lara and they made it happen. Tell me this was a good move. The numbers must be impressive, right?
Oh, they are.
Mhm.
Lara's sales went from 87 crores
Okay.
in FY16-17 to 358 crores in FY23-24.
Wow.
It's more than 4 times bigger.
That's huge.
It shows they're not just reacting to the market, they're actually changing it.
So strategic acquisitions, that's part of their plan.
Uh-huh.
But what about their core business? Are they just doing what they already know, or are they trying new things?
Their investor presentation says they're really focused on new products. They're always innovating and coming out with new things to stay ahead, like their glass storage solutions.
Oh, yeah. People are worried about plastic and the environment.
Right.
And glass is a good alternative, right?
Exactly. And get this, not many people in India use glass storage yet.
Really?
So there's a huge opportunity for Borosil to grow even more and make a real difference.
Okay, so they're playing offense. Are they playing smart? Made in India is really popular right now. Are they doing that too?
Oh, yeah. They're really focusing on making things in India.
Okay.
It's smart for a few reasons. It appeals to consumers who want to support India.
Yeah.
It makes them less dependent on China.
Right.
And it strengthens their image as an Indian brand.
So they've got a lot going on. Innovation, acquisitions, understanding consumer trends. But is it all about making money? What about being sustainable? Is that just talk, or are they actually doing it?
Well, their investor presentation talks a lot about ESG principles.
Okay.
They want to be carbon neutral. They want to have a positive water balance, ethical sourcing, the whole package.
So they're trying to be good, which is great. But are people noticing this, like those progressive homemakers they talk about? Are those people actually choosing them because of this?
That's a good question. Because consumers are smarter now. And they can tell when a company isn't being genuine.
Yeah.
Whether these initiatives are actually leading to more sales and brand loyalty, that's something we need to look into more.
It seems like Borosil is doing a lot of things right. Their financials look strong, they've got smart strategies, and they care about sustainability. But before we get too excited, we should look at those questions from the analysts and see what they think about Borosil's future. You ready to dive into part 2?
Let's do it. You know, one thing that really stands out to me from all of this is how ambitious Borosil is.
Yeah.
They don't just want to be like a big company.
Right.
They want to be the customer-centric company in India.
That's a big goal, but what does that even mean when we're talking about kitchenware and appliances?
Well, their investor presentation outlines a few key strategies. They're really, really focused on developing new products.
Okay.
But it's more than just making trendy stuff.
Right.
They really want to understand, like, the deeper needs and desires of their target audience.
So it's not enough to just slap a Made in India sticker on something and call it a day.
No, no, no.
They're trying to figure out like the bigger picture of what Indian consumers actually want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They talk about offering mass premium products.
What does that mean?
It's a pretty interesting idea.
Yeah.
It means high quality, stylish design, but not super expensive.
Okay.
It's like making those really nice products accessible to more people.
It's like they're making good design and a better lifestyle available to everyone.
Yeah.
And it's not just about the products themselves, right? It's about the whole experience.
Yeah, they're thinking about the whole customer journey.
Uh-huh.
From the moment someone first hears about Borosil to how they actually use the products in their everyday life.
They actually use the phrase touching consumer life every day. That's a pretty big goal. Do you think they can actually do that?
It's ambitious, for sure.
Yeah.
But it shows they're thinking about more than just selling stuff.
Right.
They want to build a real relationship with other customers.
Yeah.
A relationship built on trust and convenience and shared values.
And of course, looking good. Everyone wants a nice kitchen.
Of course.
It's that combination of like being useful but also looking nice.
Yeah.
That seems to be what people want now. Okay. So they've got the big idea, the strategy, and they're focused on the customer.
Uh-huh.
But can they actually get results? Can they keep growing like they have been?
Yeah.
Every company runs into problems, right?
Oh, of course. And those questions from analysts we have, they get to the heart of those potential problems.
Yeah.
Like one question is about how Borosil is going to manage its costs with all the economic uncertainty in the world right now.
Right.
Inflation, those changing prices for raw materials, that's got to be stressful.
It sounds like a recipe for disaster. So what are they doing about it? Are they just hoping for the best?
Well, their investor presentation and what they said in the press release points to a few things.
Okay.
They're working on getting the most out of their investments,
Okay.
making sure every rupee counts.
Mm-hmm.
They're also trying to make their warehousing and logistics more efficient,
Right.
which can be really expensive, especially in a country as big and spread out as India.
Yeah. Getting products from the factory to the stores efficiently is super important. What about those global factors like currency exchange rates changing? That can really affect how much money a company makes.
Oh, for sure. And it's especially important for Borosil
Right.
because they import some stuff and export products too.
Mm-hmm.
They don't give a lot of details about this in these documents,
Okay.
but it's definitely something they're paying attention to.
It's like they're playing a really complicated game.
Yeah,
Managing a global supply chain right now is tough.
it is.
Okay, but let's talk about competition.
Okay.
The Indian market is so competitive. There are always new companies popping up. So how is Borosil going to stay ahead of everyone else?
One thing they're doing is trying to be more present in certain categories,
Huh.
like glass storage and opalware.
Okay.
They're going up against like the big players in plastic and steel,
Wow.
and they're not afraid to be aggressive,
It's like they're telling plastic to step aside.
pretty much. They're also moving into new categories,
Okay.
like those premium to-go containers and fancy appliances we talked about before.
Right.
They don't just want to be good in one area.
Uh-huh.
They want a bigger piece of the whole market.
Okay, so they're diversifying, but also getting better in the areas they're already in. It's a two-pronged attack.
Yes.
What about making people aware of their brand and building loyalty? How are they doing that with so much noise out there?
They're putting a lot of effort into building their brand,
Okay.
both online and offline.
Right.
They know that having a strong brand is important if you want to stand out and attract the right customers.
Yeah.
And, of course, that made in India thing is a big part of it.
Right. It's not just a label.
Right.
It connects with that feeling of national pride and wanting to support Indian businesses.
Exactly. It's a smart move, especially with everything going on in the world right now and India's push to be more self-reliant.
Yeah. Okay, so they're handling the tough economy, they're beating the competition and building a strong brand. But there's one more thing I'm wondering about. Their online presence.
E-commerce.
Yeah. Online shopping is huge in India right now.
It is.
And everyone's trying to get attention. So how is Borosil standing out online?
They're really focused on growing their online business and making sure customers have a good experience online.
Okay.
They know that people want things to be easy and personalized even when they're shopping online.
Yeah.
And they're also using technology to improve how they work behind the scenes.
So they're combining the old and the new. It's like they're taking their history and bringing it into the future. But can they actually do it all? It takes more than just good intentions and a nice website to reach their goals.
Well, the analyst questions also look at Borosil's financials
Uh-huh.
and whether they can actually reach their targets. They've set some pretty big goals,
Like what?
like growing their revenue by 15% to 20% each year.
Wow, that's a lot. Are they being realistic or are they getting ahead of themselves?
They're definitely aiming high,
Yeah.
but they know there are risks and challenges.
Right.
The investor presentation actually talks about some of the main risks they see,
Okay.
like competition, people's preferences changing, and those uncertainties in the economy.
It's a crazy world out there.
It is.
So how are they planning to deal with those risks and stay on track? Because it's not enough to just be good at growing. You need to be good at protecting yourself, too.
It seems like they have a plan.
Okay.
They're focusing on building a strong business that can handle shocks and changes in the market.
Yep.
They're investing in technology and automation to be more efficient.
Uh-huh.
And they're always looking at what's happening in the market and changing their plans as needed.
So they're trying to be flexible and always ready for anything.
Exactly.
But there's one more thing I'm curious about.
Yeah.
That commitment to ESG principles.
Right.
Is that just for show to make investors happy? Or do they really care about sustainability?
Their investor presentation spends a lot of time talking about their ESG initiatives, which makes me think it's more than just a trend for them.
Okay.
They have big goals for carbon neutrality, saving water, ethical sourcing. They're thinking about it all.
They even talk about helping their customers make more sustainable choices.
I know.
That's interesting.
It is. It's not just about them being sustainable.
Right.
They want to help their customers live more sustainably, too.
So they're not just trying to be a good company.
Yeah.
They want to make a positive impact on the world.
Right.
Okay, we've talked about a lot.
We have.
Borosil's finances, how they're growing, their competition, building their brand, and sustainability. There's one more piece of the puzzle we need to look at.
Okay.
The specific questions analysts have about Borosil's future.
Right.
You ready to tackle those in part 3?
Let's do it.
All right, so we're in the home stretch of our Borosil deep dive.
Yeah.
We've gone over their amazing growth, their strategy, and their commitment to sustainability. But now it's time to get down to business.
All right.
Put on those analyst hats
All right.
and really dig into some tough questions about their future. The questions that make you wonder, is this all too good to be true?
Right. Right.
What's interesting is these analyst questions really get to the heart of what makes a business successful.
Yeah.
They're not just looking at the surface.
Right.
They're looking at how Borosil actually operates.
Right. The nuts and bolts.
Yeah, their financials and their long-term plan.
It's the details.
Exactly. So let's get into it. One big question everyone's thinking about is how Borosil is managing costs with all the economic craziness happening globally.
Yeah.
I mean, inflation is out of control. Prices for raw materials are all over the place.
It's a mess out there.
It is. So how are they handling this?
It's definitely a challenge for everyone, and Borosil's no different.
Right.
Their investor presentation and some things they said in the press release give us some clues.
Okay.
They're really focused on making the most of their investments,
Okay.
making sure every rupee counts.
Uh-huh.
They're also working hard to make their warehousing and logistics more efficient.
Which, as we said, can be a huge expense.
Yeah, especially in India.
Yeah. Getting products from one place to another efficiently is super important for profit.
Absolutely.
But there's this other thing that can really affect a company's earnings.
What's that?
Those changes in currency exchange rates.
Oh, yeah, those fluctuations.
Yeah. How is that affecting Borosil, especially since they import some materials and also export products?
That's a good point, and
Yeah.
it's definitely something they're thinking about.
Yeah.
They don't give us a ton of details about it in these documents.
Right.
But I'm sure they're watching it closely and trying to minimize any negative impact.
Yeah, managing a global supply chain these days.
Oh my gosh.
It's like a juggling act.
It is.
Okay, let's switch gears and talk about competition for a second.
Yeah.
The Indian consumer market is so crowded.
Yeah.
New companies are popping up all the time. How's Borosil gonna not just survive, but actually do really well in this environment?
Well, their investor presentation talks a lot about how they're different and how they're innovating.
Okay.
They don't want to just be another company out there. They want to be the leader,
Okay.
especially in those key areas like glass storage and opalware.
Okay.
They're going up against those huge companies in plastic and steel.
Right, the big guys.
Yeah, and they're not afraid to be bold about it.
It's like they're coming in strong.
Yeah, they're here to win.
And they're not just sticking to what they already know, right?
Right.
I saw that they're expanding into new categories, like those premium to-go containers and those high-end appliances.
Exactly. They're branching out, but also getting even stronger in their main areas.
Yeah, it's like a two-pronged attack. They're attacking on multiple fronts. But in a market like India's, it's not enough to just have good products.
No, you need a brand that people recognize and trust.
Exactly. So how is Borosil building that brand awareness and loyalty?
They're investing a lot in building their brand both online and offline.
Right.
They're creating a unified image that speaks to what their target customers want and believe in.
Okay.
And that made in India approach is really important here.
Yeah, it's more than just a label.
Right.
It's a statement.
It shows they're committed to quality and supporting the Indian economy.
Exactly. It's a message that really resonates with consumers these days.
Yeah, people care about where things come from.
Okay, so they're managing costs, innovating, building a strong brand. But can they keep their financial promises? The analysts also want to know about their cash flow.
Right. How much money is coming in.
Yeah, and going out. And are they using it wisely?
Cash flow is so important for any business.
It is.
We don't have all of their financial statements here.
Right.
But their investor presentation does talk about how they're trying to make the best use of their capital and how they're managing their working capital. This suggests they're being careful with their cash flow, making sure they have enough to keep growing.
So it's not just about making money, it's about making money sustainably.
Exactly.
For the long term. Now, one question that comes up is, can they really hit those ambitious growth targets?
Yeah.
They're aiming for a revenue CAGR.
Compound annual growth rate.
Yeah, around 15% to 20%.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, especially in this economy. So is that realistic?
They're definitely aiming high. But their strategy seems to be a mix of growing organically, like expanding their current products and markets, and making strategic acquisitions like we saw with Lyra.
It's a kind of a two-pronged approach.
Exactly, using what's working and looking for new opportunities.
Okay, but even with the best plans, there are always risks.
Oh, definitely.
So how is Borosil dealing with those risks to stay on track?
It seems like they're taking a multifaceted approach.
Okay, what does that mean?
Well, they're trying to build a strong, resilient business model. One that can handle those economic ups and downs and changes in the market.
Right.
They're also investing in technology and automation to make things more efficient. And I think most importantly, they're always watching what's happening in the market and changing their plans as needed.
So they're staying flexible.
Exactly. They're adapting.
But there's one last thing I'm really curious about.
What's that?
Their commitment to ESG principles.
Right. Sustainability.
Yeah. Is that just a PR move?
Well,
or do they really care about sustainability?
Their investor presentation really highlights their ESG initiatives. It seems like it's a core part of how they do business.
Okay.
They have big goals for being carbon neutral, conserving water, ethical sourcing.
Yeah.
It's a comprehensive approach.
They even talk about helping their customers make more sustainable choices.
Right.
It's not just about them, it's about everyone.
Exactly. It's about making a bigger impact.
Wow, we've covered so much.
We have.
Borosil's financials, their growth plan, the competition, their brand, and sustainability.
Yeah, it's been a journey.
It has. Borosil is definitely a company to watch. Will they hit those ambitious growth targets? Will they become the most customer-centric company in India? Only time will tell.
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
One thing's for sure.
What's that?
They're not afraid to dream big. So what does all of this mean for you? Maybe it's time to take a look at your own kitchen and think about what's important to you. Are you ready to embrace the Borosil lifestyle? Something to think about. Until next time, happy diving.